I recorded a training for a special group with EXP Realty. It was so good, I had to share it with everybody. So this next video is going to be the entire 45-minute training I did. It is very high level on how I made millions of dollars in the last few years by working with renters. Enjoy.
This is a man that consistently makes $500,000 a year. $500,000 a year. Would that help y'all pay your bills if you made $500,000 a year? I mean, would that make any difference in your life, right? And this man does it consistently. And guess what his number one business is? Number one business, rental leads. Without further ado, you've got the stage, King. Thank you so much for joining us.
So today I kind of want to go over, how I started closing 20 to 30 deals a month. And then how I got on social media and built a team, based on it. Because I think you guys being a mega team, I'm not even there yet. I focus on production for the first few years of my career, closing hundreds of deals. Kind of show you how I did it, talk about I have 6 different ways, kind of 7 ways to make money with rentals. That's how I became a millionaire, in the past few years doing this. And I want to share with you guys all my little tips and strategies and secrets of how I did it. So to start, my name's Andy Coleman with EXP Realty. And yes, I am a 4-time Icon agent. So I'm not really doing as many solo deals as I used to, which I would love to talk about how I kind of converted from a solo agent to like a team leader and how that's working, because I generate about 100 warm rental leads every single day. Have been doing it for years now. Actually, I was getting about 200 per day. Then I slowed down a little bit to 100 per day. So we're talking, 3,200 leads, 3,100, 3,000 leads every single month. And yes, these are rental leads, which, you guys are well aware of. But if you can get, $1,500, $2,000 per deal, and you can close 15 of them, 20 of them, even just 5 to 10, you're making a lot of money really fast. That's one of the secrets to how I was making 50 grand a month consistently as a solo agent, and how I make a little bit more now with my team. But I'm also turning renters to buyers. So that's another big aspect of it as well. So what I want to do is kind of go over, my first 3 years as a solo agent. First year, I did about 50 deals, and I believe 44 of them were rentals. The other 6 deals were buyers, which is cool because I didn't have to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years to turn these renters into buyers. I convinced what I like to call it active renters into buyers now. So I'm basically just telling them, hey, you can buy a house instead of rent. I got a whole process on that, that I really go deep into, because there's a psychology behind that. If you, are too strong with your opinions on them buying, you're going to scare them away. They're not going to rent with you or buy from you or give you referrals. They'll never use you again. But if you don't push at all, they're not even going to think about buying. So there's like a Goldilocks zone of how you should approach that, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And then I basically made, I think it was $80,000 my first year. It was like 78K. I was like this close to capping. It was kind of wild. And then my second year in real estate, that's when I figured I was on to something, right? Because of the way I was generating leads and converting them and closing deals, I was like, wow, this is really working. And everybody's telling me not to work with renters, right? Like, I'm sure you all have, been in the business a while. You've heard that before. Don't work with renters. It's a waste of your time. You're not going to make any money. I was like, I don't know about that, because I just made a decent amount of money this year. What happens if I perfect this, right? Like, I wanted to become the Michael Jordan of real estate, and not the jerky Michael Jordan. I don't know if you all heard stories about him. Not the nicest guy. But I wanted to be the master in real estate to where I can close, hundreds of deals a year and then start teaching agents how to do it. That was my original dream. And I did. In my second year of real estate, I did 160 deals. I ended up closing about 10, maybe 10 buyers or sellers, sales, we'll call it. And the rest of those were rental deals. I made $256,000 in commission as an agent that has been in the business for 1 year. I had no network, no sphere of influence. I had no team at that point, no mentors, no showing agents, no VA, no TC, nothing. Literally, it was just me. Then I was like, wow, this is something special, right? Like, I had never making that, to make $250,000 after 1 year in a career. I was like, oh my God, I've never made this kind of money in my life before. What's possible, right? I was like, what's possible if I dedicate all of my time? Believe it or not, I wasn't dedicating all of my time at that point. At that point, I was probably putting in a good, I would say 8 to 10 hours per day, right? Here's the thing. I wasn't getting to all my leads. That's the biggest factor that separated my second year from my third year, which I am going to tell you right now. I closed 250 deals. I became the third ranked agent in the world with EXP Realty out of our 90,000 agents. And I made about $510,000 in commission, and my overhead was almost non-existent. So it was all profit. It wasn't like I was spending, 20 grand a month in expenses for ads and leads and stuff. It was basically free. So that $510,000, that went in my pocket. And yes, of course, I iconed, that year. Well, actually, I iconed the year before that. I iconed again that year. I actually iconed twice in that year, believe it or not, because my anniversary date was October 1st. So after October 1st, I was able to icon again. I think it was by end of November or like early December. It was like 2 months. And I hit icon again in one calendar year, twice, which was bananas for me. So that was my third time doing it at that point. And doing that, I basically changed up a lot of things for my second year, right? Like I was saying, wasn't getting all my leads. I wasn't really utilizing I think at that point I was getting about 200 leads per day. And I was like not getting back to them my second year because I was overwhelmed. I didn't have any systems and processes created yet. I was kind of just like, winging it at that point. Just, got a lead coming in. Maybe I'll get to them next week. Maybe I'll get to them the week after. I'm so busy with clients and closing deals right now. I closed 160 deals that year. I think that's about 12, 13 deals a month. That was a lot for me as a brand new agent. So third year, I was like, all right, I wanted to hit that $500,000 goal, which fortunately I did. I wanted to close 250 deals. And to do that, I had to create systems around lead generation, right? Like I was good at getting the leads, but I was bad at getting back to the leads. That's what I was really bad at in my second year. I mean, I don't know how bad you could say making $250,000, but I should have made more because I left a lot of money on the table. So that is one of the biggest factors that I learned is you have to generate leads every single day, but you must respond to them every day. You can't let leads slip by the cracks and think, let me reach out to them tomorrow, the next day, next week, 2 weeks. Literally, I would have 2 weeks go by. I would have 1,000+ leads piled up there and I would be like overwhelmed. And then most of them, obviously, they become dead at that point. They're not going to respond to me because they've moved on. Rentals are, boom, 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 fast, fast, fast. They want to get into a property like now. Like if they're reaching out to, let's say, 15 different agents, right? 15 different properties. And I take 2 weeks or even 2 days to respond to them. That's it. They're gone, right? So I noticed my conversion rate was falling, completely out of the way that I wanted it to be, which is around 5 to 10%, right? If you can get a 5 to 10% conversion rate on your leads for rentals, you're fine. That's all you need. Then what happened was I started following up. That was crucial, okay? Because that added about 30% to my business alone just by following up. And how I did this was pretty cool. So I didn't use CRMs. I didn't use AI, none of that fancy tech because that's too complicated. You have to put, the data in there, the contact. There's so much stuff that goes involved with using a CRM at that kind of level when you're closing 20 to 30 deals a month. I mean, hell, even closing 10 deals a month. That becomes very challenging keeping up with the CRM and all this tech and stuff. And if you're using AI right now, I know we're in 2025, so it's a little bit different back when I did it in 2022. It's not personal. Like they know it's not coming from you, especially now. People are very skeptical. So you want stuff coming from your cell phone. You want it in your voice, and you don't want like these, standard AI, templates and stuff. It doesn't work. Now, not to say I didn't create templates because I did. I certainly did. I created what I like to call like a clipboard system, and anybody can use it. It's in your phone. I have Google. You could use it with Android or Apple. I think you have to download some kind of like app to use it though. But it's basically this little clipboard thing in your phone that has predetermined messages that you can, type in there and just click them. Like just like a copy and paste kind of thing without having to go into like your notes and copying and pasting. That was a big factor of how I was able to start responding to all these leads every single day because I can get to 200 leads, 20 or 30 minutes. Literally, I became that efficient at getting to leads. That was really huge for me. And then following up, exact same thing. I can follow up with 100 people, 20 minutes. And that's what really saved me because when I was able to figure out all these specific responses for the leads and the follow-ups, I was able to rapid fire them out and just do slight customizations, little variations on these templates that I had saved in my phone, every single person, right? So the way I did this, and this is really cool, I would go into my phone and I would go through the previous 24 hours, right? So basically, let's say Monday. So today's Monday. And I would go through all of my text messages from yesterday, from Sunday. It says it right in your phone. It literally just says Sunday, 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 Sunday. So it was very easy. So I didn't have to input all that stuff into a CRM because that would be overwhelming and that would take more time. I guarantee you, I tried it. It does take more time if you do it that way. So instead, I would go and check the last text messages from the person, whoever responded to me last, and then I would just send them a response based on the last thing that we said to each other. It was either from me, from them, it does not matter, right? I mean, obviously, the way I like doing this, I like to be the last person to say something. It just leaves a good taste in their mouth if I'm responding to them. Even if they say, I'm working on the application, I'm going to say, good, great, ask me, ask me any questions, whatever you need. I'm here for you, something, right? So I'm the last person to respond. So then to follow up on that the next day, if they hadn't sent anything back to me, all I would do is have a template where it would be like, hey, how's the application coming along, right? Like if it wasn't done yet. If it was done, I would have another response. Like, hey, just got the application, gonna start putting in the pre-offers, which I'll talk about in a second. Pre-offers, that was a massive reason. There's so many reasons, why I closed 250 deals a year. It wasn't just follow-ups. It wasn't just getting back to my leads. It wasn't just pre-offers. Like I can go on and on and on and on and on. It's the sum of everything that you do every single day. And if you get one thing wrong, it's like a chink in an armor. If one thing falls through the crack, the whole thing comes crashing down. That's what I really learned and honed in on my third year. I can talk about pre-offers. I could talk about follow-ups, right? Like even for the pre-offers, if you're putting in, let's say, 20 offers a day, okay? Because that's what you have to do. If you're doing volume and you're doing bulk and you want to close, 250 deals a year, which is basically a deal every day, every other day, right? 20 to 30 a month. You have to be putting in multiple offers every day because you're going to be working with clients that have 500 credit scores. They have evictions, they have background issues, they have low income, they might have Section 8, whatever it is. You have to work with everybody. That's what I really learned, and that's another little secret that I did not do in my first and second year. I was not working with everybody. I took the stupid advice from people around me that said, nope, only work with 650 credit and up and forget about the rest. But I started thinking in my head, what about the people that have bad credentials, that aren't as qualified? They're not homeless. They're getting into properties. Who is helping them, all right? I wanted to be the person to help them. I found they're actually the easiest people to help. If you can help somebody that has a low credit score and you can frame it in their head that they're not going to get the Taj Mahal, right? They're not going to move in to some palace that, 5 other people are applying to that have 800 credit. It's not going to happen. If you frame that to them properly, right? There's a lot of little nuances to this. They are the easiest clients you will ever work with because they will be very loyal to you because you're the only realtor that wants to help them. And they're not going to be picky, right? If you frame it correctly. If you don't frame it correctly, they're going to be very picky. They're not going to be loyal, and it's going to be a bad time for you. So that's what I said before, right? There's hundreds of things that you have to master in order to become a top agent like that. The year after that, this is the coolest part, right? So the year after that, that was 2023. That's when I decided, okay, I had just closed, I think 550 deals, let's call it, right? In my first 3 years and made almost $1 million in 3 years, right? 80,000 first year, 256 second year, 510 third year. I am approaching $1 million as a brand new agent in a brand new state. In my mind, I was like, okay, I can do 300 deals this year or 400 deals or 500 deals, right? If I really push myself, I know I can do it. I can get the showing agents, maybe I get a couple agents to help me out. That's the route I went, right? I didn't get the showing agents. I got the agents to help me out. I trained a bunch of agents locally where I can't even remember how I met them. Probably maybe working on a deal or something, right? I had a massive network built up, 100,000 leads in my database and then, 30,000 contacts in my database that I was just working with on a daily basis. So I reached out to my network. Hey, is there any agents that want to work with me, right? I got all these leads. I got all these deals. I want to help you if you help me. And we worked on a commission split. that was the change that I made in 2023 that really started to, help me scale while working less, because leverage is the name of the game. You want to leverage, your credibility, and you want to leverage other people's time that hasn't reached that kind of level yet. Obviously, if I had found somebody that was closing 200 deals a year just like me, why would they want to work with me? They won't, right? So you have to look for people that aren't at that point. Maybe they don't want to be at that point. A lot of people don't want the responsibility of, doing everything by themselves. They just don't. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody is created differently. So found a bunch of agents, trained them locally, and they were performing. Some of them were closing 10 to 15 deals a month. Nobody beat my 30 deals in 1 month record, which is crazy. Not yet, anyways. I mean, even the agents I teach right now. So I do have a program. I called it Rich at Rentals because I literally got rich off of rentals, and now all my agents are too. And I have 382 agents. Yeah, 382 agents sign up in my first year and a few months. And the best agent so far, I think they did 22 deals, right? And we're not talking just rentals, and that's in a month, in 30 days, 22 deals in 30 days. And I think it was something like 2 buyers or, 2 buyers and a seller, and then 19 rentals. So it's possible for other agents to replicate what I'm doing. I've had other agents do 10 deals, 15 deals, 20 deals. If I hear an agent do 15 deals a month now, it's pretty common to me. I used to be surprised. I was like, wow, it took me a long time to get to that level. And now I got agents that I'm teaching, they can do it too. So we'll talk about that later. But that's how I really took my, company, my business to the next level. Because you got to remember, if you're in real estate, you're not doing a 9-to-5 job. You're not clocking in. You're not clocking out. You're not taking off weekends. You're not turning your phone off at 5 o'clock. You're not doing any of that stuff. It's your business. I mean, hell, if you want to do that stuff, you can, right? But you're not going to be successful. You might make, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, but if you want to reach the upper echelon of society, and we're talking top 1%, right? Depending on the state that you're in, I think you guys are, obviously you're in Georgia right now. It's probably like $400,000 a year. And I'll tell you this, once you start making that kind of money, I know you were mentioning it before, the world just opens up to you. It truly does. Everybody always talks about, does money buy you happiness? I mean, yes and no, but what it buys you is security, right? Like it buys you peace of mind. Like when you go to bed at night, you're not worrying about how you're going to, fill up your gas tank the next day or pay your rent at the end of the month or buy groceries or any of that stuff. You don't have to worry about that anymore. That is one thing, one weight that is lifted off your shoulders so you can focus on other stuff and enjoy other stuff. So does money make you happy? In that sense, oh yes, big time, right? It comes with other responsibilities and problems though. But if anybody wants to replicate this, they can, right? Like I am not special. Yes, I have learned how to communicate. I have learned how to sell, right? I have learned systems and processes. I learned to focus on one niche, and I learned to pivot when the market was changing, right? So instead of going into buyers and sellers, I stayed with renters because the market, 2025, it's a renter's market. Now, all of these skills, something that you can learn. You're not born with them, right? It's something that you pick up and learn over time. I watch communication videos. I watch Alex Hormozy on how to be a better salesman, right? Like I still learn every single day. My learning is not done. Believe it or not, I'm still even doing deals because I don't want to fall behind. I don't want to, be teaching agents because remember, I have 382 agents that rely on me that I teach every single week. And I don't want to be the one that, loses touch with the current housing market. There's a lot of these people out there that do that. And I don't think that's right to be putting your name behind something and being like, oh, yeah, it used to work 5 years ago, but I'm not sure if it works now, right? Like, not me. So I didn't like that. So that's why I still do some deals. Not many, right? I think I have 5 clients I'm working with right now. A couple buyers here and there, a couple sellers, a couple rentals. So that's the whole thing. You can create a team like I did, right? And then what I did actually, so the craziest part, I had so many agents that wanted to work with me. This is back in 2023 that I didn't have the bandwidth for that, right? Like I think I was only getting, 100 leads a day, 150 leads a day at that point. So I didn't have that many to go around. I'm used to handling them all myself. So to me, I'm like, all right, I got 4 agents. Each one of them are getting 30 leads. That's nothing, right? No. You got to be a special kind of person to handle that kind of volume. So then I created a YouTube channel. That was really my defining moment that I think in the past 2 years when I got on YouTube and I got on Instagram and I had sworn off all this social media. I don't know how you all feel about social media. I hated it. I was like, this is a waste of time. I don't want to have my business out there.
I wanted to jump in because there were a few questions in the
Oh,
chat.
geez, I was just rambling. I was rambling and rambling.
Okay. Before we get too far, I don't want them to get left behind.
Yeah, let's do it.
One of the questions was, what do you mean by pre-offers? You had mentioned that just a few minutes ago. And then the other question was, what was the main client acquisition channel? And it sounds like you're about to go into that. And I just want to remind everybody that though this training is like so amazing, Andy had to go out and hustle to get all of these rental leads, but you all already have them sitting in your back office.
I'm curious, even how y'all having these leads? Where are they coming from? How you getting them?
So, Andy, I'm a property manager, and so every time I list one property for rent, I probably get 200 or 300 rental leads, and I listed about 85. So I have about 8,500 rental leads.
That's a healthy amount of leads. So I took that principle and I took that philosophy and I applied it without having to get your own rental listings. So that's, do you want me to talk about that? I don't know if do you want me to talk about this?
Well, the question, I want to make sure we get that question out. British asked, what did you mean by the pre-offer?
Yes. Okay. So basically, instead of showing a property first, right? So even think about a buyer. If you're working with a buyer and they don't have a pre-approval done, would you ever show them a house? A good agent would never show a house without a pre-approval. Ever, right? A bad agent might, good agent won't. So I took that same philosophy and I applied it to rentals, where I basically, I don't want to say made them, right? Because they could do whatever the heck they want. They're not working with me if they're not doing it, but they could do whatever they want. I had them do Rentspree, credit back and eviction report, rental application, proof of income, driver's license, wrote up a quick little contract to lease. I put in the full package. That's what I call a full package. That is a pre-offer, right? So if I want to slow it down a little bit, and that's what I'm talking about, about learning all of these little things. Like you have to to get somebody to do a pre-offer, you have to speak like this, maybe not as fast, but you have to be confident. You have to know what you're talking about, and you have to be fluid, okay? There's no way that you're going to get somebody to fill out a $40 application with all their personal information, send you their proof of income and their driver's license before even meeting you, because these are people I've never even met in person before. These are warm. I could say warm leads because they're reaching out to me, but they're still cold because I don't know them. I've never worked with them. They're not referrals. So in terms, and that's the same thing that you're talking about. You're getting warm leads, but they're still essentially cold because you don't know them, right? It's a property that's listed. They reach out to you about that property. So they are warm in the sense you don't got to call them up and be like, hey, my name's blah, blah, blah. I want to work with you. They're still saying, hey, I like this property. Can you help me? So that does work in your advantage when they reach out to you first. That always does. But right. To be able to convince somebody.
That's half the battle right there.
Huge.
When they reach out to you first.
Huge. It sets the tone. It sets the tone because they're now off guard, right? They're not like, most of them, they're not on guard as much, because if you just call a random person and say, hey, my name's Andy Coleman, I would love to help you find a rental. They're like, who the F are you? Why are you calling me? Like, you know what I mean? Like right then and there, their guard is just like right here. They're like, get away from me, you. And then, but if they're reaching out to you, they're like, oh, I reached out to them, right? I could do the same thing. Like, who are you? Why do you want my property? Right? Obviously, I'm not doing that, but like that's the dynamic shifts and the power goes into the ball. We'll say the ball is now in your court. So to get a warm lead like that is phenomenal, right? And that's what I developed over the past 5 years. How to get as many of these warm leads as possible for as cheap as possible, which I did figure out. Figured out, technically, I guess you can say 3 main methods on how to do that, which I'm going to talk about in a second.
Before you dive into there, Andy, I do know I've gotten a lot of direct messages, and there's a message in the chat. One of the biggest questions that the team wants is they want to know, what are you saying to the renters that allows you to convert them into homeownership? What has happened? What is that Goldilocks approach? Because here they are. You have to think this team is sitting here with hundreds and hundreds of rental leads right now, of people that called me last year, called me a couple of months ago about a rental property. Some of them signed a lease, some of them their lease is up, and so that conversation, where is the magic happen where you're allowing that tenant's mindset to shift to now they want to work with you to find a home to buy instead of
Yeah. I mean, that's powerful, right? Because I'm closing one or two renters that I'm turning into buyers, and we're talking fresh. You know, these are just fresh ass renters, not previous clients. I'm still doing those as well. There's no magic bullet. Or silver bullet, whatever the saying is. That's a thing. So I actually did create a full-on training on this. I think it's over an hour. So that's the only issue is we don't have the time for me to go into this, because if I'm giving you one or two little tidbits, you know, it's at least an hour of absorbing knowledge on how to approach this. Otherwise, you're going to scare them away. And I'm going to be doing you a disservice, because if you try something that I'm, half-heartedly giving you right now, it's not going to work. You really need to know what you're talking about in order to turn a renter into a buyer. Otherwise, forget it. You might ruin the whole relationship. So if you don't, it's better not even to do anything until you're confident and at that point where you're ready to pitch them, basically, to turn them into a buyer. I mean, I'll tell you this, right? I'll give you a little 1,000-foot view of it, okay? So, and anybody can learn this. If you all want to go to my website, richardrantals.com, anybody can go on there and check it out. I do teach all of this in depth, but a 1,000-foot overview of this, a bird's eye view. Basically, you need to know the housing market, okay? You have to know the ins and outs of the economy right now, specifically the housing market, okay? The 10-year treasury yield. You got to know the federal funds rate. You got to know the supply of inventory. You got to know the mortgage rates. You got to know the home prices. You got to know the appreciation factor of 5% average per year. Been 6 years since the average got skewed. What are we at now? 80%. What should it be? 30%. Does it compound? Yes. Honestly, there is so many little things, and I can go on and on and on and on and on. I mean, debt to income ratio based on their rental, $3,000 a month for the rent compared to the house price of $4,500. Does it make sense? Because 20% or 80% of your interest is paid off in the first 5 years, and then the other, is after 5 years for amortization. Like, there's literally so many things that you have to learn in order to be smooth and confident to convince somebody to buy a house with you. That's why I'm so successful. And that's why the agents I teach are so successful. They know it all. They know everything. And this is high level stuff. Like, seriously, I got agents, I'm not even joking right now, where I'll teach them all of this stuff and they'll skip it. They won't even go through it, right? Maybe it's too high level for them, whatever the hell the case may be. They'll just focus on the renters and they do zero buyers. Right? I got agents I teach, they're doing 10, 15 rentals a month, zero sales. I got other agents, they're doing 6 or 7 rentals a month, and they're doing 1 to 3 sales per month because they're focusing on that. They picked that up and they learned it, and now they're focusing on it and they're utilizing it.
Right. British just put in the chat. So when it comes to the pre-offer method, basically you have the renters fill out the rent application and have their background ran to see what their profile is. Are you then using that information to just move forward with helping them find the rental, or are we flipping it and getting them to buy?
You have to know everything first. So if they ask you a question, boom, you have a response instantaneously. You don't even want to have to take a second to think about it. You need to know anything they're going to ask you, you have to have an answer for it immediately. And if you don't, that's what I mean by that. Like, you're not ready yet, which is fine, right? And it only takes a couple weeks of knowledge and learning to really get to that point. Maybe not even a couple weeks, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours of heavy researching the right things, right? Like I said, the housing market in particular. Now, this has taken me a very, very long time to learn all of this because I had a little trick where, I make videos on the housing market for one of my YouTube channels, and that gives me a big leg up because I'm learning all of these stats and facts and statistics that most agents, they don't even think about, right? And then I'm actually watching other, finance YouTubers talk about the economy. So that's how I learned this stuff, and then I was able to apply it for turning renters into buyers, which is it's the psychology of getting a renter to think that buying a house is more advantageous to them than renting a house, which here's another, right here, watch this. So, did you all know buying a house is a terrible investment? Terrible investment. Buying a house, not the best way to make money, right? This is why. So, and this is one of the things that I can use, right? Because if I say what I'm about to tell you all right now, it's gonna put them so off guard. They're gonna trust me so much because I'm being so brutally honest with them, something that nobody else has ever told them in their entire lives. And I'm a real estate agent. I'm the one trying to like get their business, get them to work with me. And I might be telling them, hey, don't buy a house if, don't keep renting if, nobody tells them that. They get an agent, a salesperson that's like, oh yeah, buy a house. I don't care if it costs you an extra $1,000 a month. So look, I'll give you something high level right now, right? So look at this. So, and this is one of the hundreds of things that you really have to learn, but one of them, okay? So put it this way. If somebody asks you, Andy, I'm renting a house right now and I want a good financial investment. And I'm a real estate agent, so they're asking me for my opinion on real estate, of course. And they say, is it a good investment to buy a house right now? And I have to tell them, right? Ethically, I gotta say no. It's not the best investment. It's not. Some of y'all are thinking, what the hell are you talking about? You're gonna tell somebody not to buy a house? Are you crazy? No, I'm not crazy. Look, so I did the math. I broke this all down, and this is something that a lot of the billionaires out there talk about. If you take the down payment that you're going to use towards a house, we're going to use simple numbers here. $500,000 house, $50,000 or $80,000 down payment, right? That would be 20%, I believe, if my math is correct, right? So $80,000 down payment, $500,000 house. If they take that $80,000 and they do something else with it, instead of buying a house, it's a way better investment. Now, what is the thing that they're going to do? They're going to invest in a simple index fund. That's it. VOO, VTI, anything simple like that tracks the S&P 500. On average, it's about a 10% annual return, okay? So essentially, right, think about this. They take the $80,000. It's a 10% annual return compounded over 10 years. They're going to make 7 times as much money as if they bought a house. And I'll tell you why. The average appreciation for a house is 3 to 6% per year in a normal market. We were briefly talking about this before about how after 2019, in 2020, that number got skewed out of control. That's another high level thing. I don't even want to confuse you all right now about that. But basically, think in your head, 3 to 6% basically averaged out 5% per year on average appreciation, right? So if you buy a house for $500,000, remember this compounds. Don't forget that. You'll mess the whole thing up if you don't compound it. And compounding basically means that if 5% of $500,000 is what, 25 grand, I think, off the top of my head, might be getting that wrong. $25,000 plus $500,000 is $525,000. So the next year that carries over. So you have to take 5% appreciation of $525,000, right? That will change. Then it's going to be $32,000. Add that to the $525,000. Now you have $558,000, whatever the heck that may be. Then you add 5% to that. That's what compound means.
With converting renters, we know there's value in that space. They want to know from you is what is the simplest, highest yielding return on that time conversation to convert that renter to a buyer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There is no one silver bullet. That's the thing. There is no one thing. It's a combination.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm being real with you right now. Like if there was one thing, everybody would do it. If it was just one little trick and secret, the cat would be out of the bag and every single person would be a multimillionaire. That's not how it works. Yeah, there's no secret that exists. That's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. Like there is no secret. Like it doesn't exist.
If you wanted to do like a quick 30-seconder, what would you tell our team today that they should do to get more conversions on the rental side?
You could either learn from somebody that has a massive amount of experience doing it, right? That's the shortcut. Or you can learn on your own, okay? And learning on your own, like I just said, you have to learn in-depth stats and statistics about the housing market, about psychology, about sales, about communication. I mean, I swear to God, I'm telling you, like I'm not trying to withhold information because I will sit here and do it all, but it will take me 30 hours, right? Like literally, we will be here for 30 hours.
Okay.
So it's literally,
Okay.
There's so many little things that you must learn in order to do this at a high level. That's why everybody's not millionaires, because it's very hard to do that and know that, right? So I know all of this seems like a lot, and that's why I created an entire training platform on this. I called it Rich at Rentals. I think I briefly talked about it before, but I will literally train you exactly how to do everything I was saying before. And we're talking dozens of hours, of learning different things in order to close 20 to 30 deals a month. I did it all in order, A to Z. If you want to learn how to get MLS tenant leads or rental listing leads, meaning landlords, if you want to learn how to get apartment complex leads, if you want to learn how to turn renters into buyers active right now, 30% of your closed renters into buyers later. Like, there's so many things that I teach that there is no way I could even do it in a video, like a training like we're doing right now. You can go to my website, richardrantals.com. I'm going to drop a link in the description. Even if you want to book a call with me, go ahead if you have any questions, or you can sign up right there. Thank you guys so much for having me. I hope everybody has an amazing rest of your day.